in the last session we have seen about the talent management practices at the Infosys, and now we would like to see the talent management practices into the IBM. And here we will having the what are the exactly the practices by the IBM and the IBM Workforce Management Initiative WMI. Now, I will talk about that in detail later on also, but it becomes very important, that is the how the you encourage your employees for taking the initiative. Any organization which encourages its employees to take the initiatives by themselves, that is a successful organization. So, what is the reason? The reason is that initiatives will be taken only when the employees will feel belongingness to the organization. If they are having that belongingness to the organization, that is, I am a part of this organization, I am a family member of this organization, and therefore, like the family members need not to tell about the take the initiative, they themselves will offer their services, they themselves will take care of the families, they will be highly concerned with the family. Similarly, the employees, those who are taking the initiatives, right, and that is to the talented employees, then definitely in that case you will find that is these the organization has to be successful, because there is the family binding, cultural binding is there, ownership is there, like there is one term that is called the psychological ownership. Psychological ownership means I am the owner for this particular organization, I am the owner for this particular task or job, I am the owner for this mistake, I own this mistake. So, therefore, in that case it is the me and mine organization. So, they are integrated, and whenever this type of the integrated is there, so that is called the initiatives by the employees. However, how IBM is taking these workforce management initiatives for the talent acquisition, that we will see further. But I wish that is the HR experts, they should be able to create that work environment of the psychological ownership. And if there is a psychological ownership is there, the half job is done by the HR. Because their representatives are present in the different departments and sections on different chairs. So, it need not to be the part of worry, that is the whether the job will be done or not. It will be highly concerned, that is the everybody, most of them, everywhere everybody cannot be there, because always there are the 20% are stars, 70% are mediocre, and 10% are the employees, those who are the liabilities for the organization, and that happens. So, but this percentage is for a good organization. Now, if you change this permutation and combination of for your organization, then the God save your organization. So, therefore, that is the talent acquisition is there. Then the workforce management initiatives are there. So, all these things in the context with the help of the case study of IBM, we will be discussing. So, that WMI, workforce management initiatives for talent acquisition, there is a shift from the traditional multinational approach to global integration. Now, we have to also understand that is there is a difference between the international business and multinational companies. So, when you are producing your products in one country and sending that export to the different countries, then you are international business, you are having the international business. But when you produce the products at the different places, places means in different countries, right, then that is a multinational company is there. So, when we are talking about the shift from the traditional multinational approach, that is the, I remember in 2008 and 2009 when there was economic recession, then the concept of the co-optation, that is the cooperation with the competitors and that was preferred, and therefore it was becoming that is the approach to the multinational companies with the help of the collaborating with the competitor, they were taking the decisions are there. So, earlier the traditional approach was that is a competition, they are competitors, right, and all the theories were that is how do you beat your competitor, that was the concept. But in the current scenario, in the economic recessions, in the case of these crisis, in case of the disaster, what is important is that is a global approach, not traditional approach, and that is the global integration, working with the competitors, that is to be also taken care of. Chanakya also has said in his Chanakya Niti, that is the, if you find that your enemies are strong, make them friends. So, there it is very important, that is you are going for that the global integration part, and as compared to the traditional multinational approach. Optimizing the use of the current workforce. Now, when we are talking about the L&D department, learning and development department, that plays a very important role. You cannot keep on changing your current workforce. You have to see that whatever the current workforce, which was the most suitable, highly talented and most cultural oriented for our organization, after some period of years, right, those assets, they might be becoming the less effective, which is natural. To avoid them converting into the assets to the liabilities, it is better, that is the learning and development office, HR office, they take care what are the knowledge, skill, attitude and habits these employees are having with the period of change. So, they want to make the changes in their skills and providing the training is there, and that is the optimizing the use of the current workforce. Even some companies, when they find that is they are not able to use certain employees, so they have started giving them the training. However, there was one concept also, that is a bench management HR. So, bench management was that is when their expertise cannot be used. So, then the employees have been asked to wait, let the project comes, when the project will come again your services will be taken, but they will not be retrenched, that is the spirit. So, therefore, in that case making the optimizing the use of the current workforce, that has become a very important aspect. The third aspect, that is reduces the excess overhead, and this is totally depending upon the organization's practices, that is the how they are able to reduce that overhead expenses are there. So, we will see these the workforce management initiatives WMI, that is how it is working in IBM is there. So, how it has been defined? First, we should be very clear with the concept, that what is the concept is there. It is an approach to the capital management which would make the company a global integrated enterprise. So, we have to be very clear, that is what is that? It is the capital management, right. Which capital? It is not only the monetary capital, but it is the human capital management also, because they are your assets, and when you are integrating at the global level, then definitely this type of the manpower that will be used, whose operations cut across wide geographical areas and which plays various value creation processes. This is a very important point, dear friends, that is the your old employees, senior employees, they are generating and creating a value system in the organization. So, when we are talking about the value system, so it is positive, but I know many of you will be having an apprehension, that is the sometimes in some organizations there are the employees, senior employees, they spoil the work culture, and therefore, when the young generation joins, they find helpless. Young generation wants to do lot of things, they are highly motivated, highly energetic, but because that is the senior lot has created such a value system which they cannot break, because once the culture is built, like in a family, if once the culture is built, then it is very difficult to change that particular culture, and therefore, the which plays various value creation processes, and that is true at the different worldwide arena, and optimize their productivity and efficiency. So, why we are going for the workforce management initiative? Because we make the company organization at the global level integrated. We want to cut across the wide geographical areas, and we want to create such a value creation process, so that we can achieve the maximum productivity and efficiency. So, the Mott has given this concept that is the about managerial effectiveness. Then we talk about managerial effectiveness is with the productivity, flexibility and adaptability, which equal to sustainability. Nowadays, you can add that it is equal to sustainability. So, therefore, that flexibility and adaptability by the employees, that will create a solution to the problem. It is developed by the Randy McDonald in 2003 and used by more than 80% of all IBMers as a natural way for individuals to track and plan their development and performance. A model has been developed, and according to that model, that every employee in a natural way has to track and plan their development and performance. In fact, it is a rigorous exercise. This type of exercises are rigorous, where we ask for the employees, that is the identify your strength, weakness, opportunities and threats, explore, and then suggest how would you like to overcome your weaknesses and threats. So, that is you are able to track and plan that development and performance. Managers use it to estimate talent requirements and the availability. So, whenever we want to know, that is the how much manpower is required, what will be the manpower planning, how the job description, job specifications and job enrichment, that has to be redesigned in the organization. So, that is the estimate the talent requirements are there, and naturally that we want to make the availability of these managers. If they are able to contribute towards the organization with all this development process of global integration, then definitely organization will lead in its own core competency. It is used by IBM's strategic planners to gather data from this living market, that is the talented employees, to estimate future opportunities and challenges. Threat means challenges. So, therefore, you go by that particular exercise in which the people are focusing the key areas or the KRAs, key research areas, where they will be developing themselves with the most powerful competency, as a result of which their esteem is increased. So, this living market, that process that has to be followed. The WMI processes needed to be simple. First thing is very important, like you see, when corporate introduces any strategic policy and by the time it reaches to the last employee, it looks so complex and many questions are unanswered, because when we talk about the unit HR says that it has come from the corporate. So, therefore, he does not have answers for many questions. and then people start criticizing corporate, that is the here the conditions are different, here the requirements are different, here the work culture is different, there is a gap between the unit culture and the corporate office culture, and the people are viewing from the top, they are not able to understand the bottom up approach. So, all these criticisms that can be stopped when you are having, that is your process is very simple, and that is why it is suggested that is it is needed to be, that is the workforce management initiatives that needed to be very simple, it has to be very simple. Then intuitive, it should encourage to the employees to perform, and that is why it is the intuitive is there. Easily learned and applied, that was my point, that it should not be complex. I remember in my industry work experience, that is there were some corporate HR heads. So, they were giving the different matrices, that fill this matrix, fill that matrix, and then we were doing a lot of exercise on that, and by the time we were sending to the corporate, that HR head is changing. So, new HR head says, what you have wasted your time on all these exercises, right. So, therefore, it has to be easily learned and applied, so that it can be fast, and before that corporate HR leaves, at least he gets that particular information, and whatever he wanted to implement, that he implements. And the organizational model, every organization is having its own model of the working. For the private sector it is different, for PSUs it is different, had to be in, again then in the private sector, different private sectors are having different cultures, in PSUs even, that is they are having the different cultures, even the one PSU corporate will be having the different units, and in every unit the practically the practices are different. So, that model had to be integrated in a way that enables such implementation. So, it has to be simple, intuitive, easily learned and applied, so that you can make it the applicable, integrated, so that is it is possible you can implement this particular process. The WM added value by integrating a supply chain of the resource and talent management through 4 key components are there. How IBM has done, they have incorporated these 4 components are there. Resource management, I always mention there is a 6 M's: man, machine, material, money, method and minutes. So, therefore, all these 6 resources, that management, that has to be understood and defined. Actually, in the business, the backbone is the optimization of resources, and if your organization is able to go for the optimization of resources, then that is a wonderful organization, that is a resource management is there. In many organizations, because the lack of coordination, the organizations are not able to manage their resources, and as a result of which the organizations are not progressive. It is not that they are not sustainable, they are sustainable, but not progressive. And if they are not progressive, certain period of time, this business demand naturally that will has to go out of the market, and then the new type of the demands will come, like the energy sector we take, power sector. So, when you are talking about the thermal, then you are talking about the hydro, then you are talking the air, then you are talking about the solar. So, that the equipments manufacturing of these different types of the power sector businesses, that has to be changed. If any organization is highly focused on the thermal and is not timely shifting from thermal to solar, that organization, whatever the huge organization is there, right, but that organization sustainability will be questioned in one day, right. So, therefore, please manage the resources and management resources, your these of the man, machine, material, money, method and minutes to be managed very, very properly. Then the talent and mobility. So, many organizations they talk about the job rotation. right. And when you do the job rotation, sometimes it is surprise, the employee who was working for 10 years in a particular department, and when in the job rotation he goes to the new department and there he is performing much better as compared to earlier department. Why? Personality, job fit, Holland's model. He was rejecting to go into the another job. He was not knowing because he was never exposed to that, and as a result was he was rejecting to say that is the what is the their job requirements are there. And when he approaches those job requirements and try to do the job, and then he finds, oh, he feels that last 10 years I was unnecessary wasting in that department or section with all those highly respected people, my colleagues, right. And then here I find that it is more interesting and better performing. So, therefore, it is the mobility of the talent is very, very important, because you never know that is the what problem will be identified by the talent and will provide the solution, first thing, and second is what is the most suitable for this particular type of talent, this particular job. Third is the learning. So, learning environment, learning culture, learning organization, learning and development, all these things, because what is happening is that is the technologies keep on changing, the value systems are changing, the procedure and process in the organization is changing, organization structure is changing. So, employee has to learn, and that is through change management. So, he has to unfreeze his past experience, his past functioning, and then he has to refreeze, change and refreeze, that is the Levin's model. So, therefore, that learning environment is incorporated with the change management according to me, because when you learn something you are bringing the change. What is the learning? A permanent change in behavior is a learning. So, therefore, in that case that is a change management model that will work here. Supply or vendor management. This is also a very, very important. Now, the many institutes are offering a course on this, that is a vendor management. So, it is not a vendor management, it is a vendor management. So, therefore, there is the most of the issues are related to the supplier or vendor, and how efficiently you are able to manage that particular issue in one organization, it is a wonderful. So, that workforce management initiatives and taxonomy saved IBM both time and money by doing these initiatives: resource management, talent and mobility, learning, and the suppliers or vendor management. You are doing these four key components you are focusing, then definitely you will find as a result the company could focus on expansion, because now there are not internal customer problems. Internal customer problems are handled by these four components. So, therefore, the top management they look towards the expansion and meeting global customer satisfaction. And it is the how, because we are talking about the global expansion. If you remember in the starting I have talked about that is the global business, global expansion, and when you are using all these WMI, the four components, then you are able to focus on the expansion and becoming the global customer, creating the global customer satisfaction. The company, the ability to optimize workforce management through a series of strategies. Now, it is not a one day game. It requires a totally the optimizing, the defining, the developing and designing the strategies. Strategies are to be developed. If you are able to develop those strategies and policies and processes, and the whole organization is working in that direction, there is a cooperation from the employees, and therefore, every department and sections, I am talking about the big organizations where the thousands of employees are working. If thousands of employees are working, then definitely in that case those processes and policies, everything is designed, and those strategies, policies, processes all revolving around the learning. हमें कुछ नया सीखना है, नया कुछ करना है. Everybody wants to do something new. That commitment is there, the enthusiasm is there, and then the dream is there where this learning can be applied. and what client demands were. So, accordingly if somebody is facing the problem about the what client demands are there, then he will also understand with the help of the strategies, policies and procedures. In this new system, after this resource management and learning is there and time management is there. So, then after all these four your components, the HR was able to connect the WMI with the employment life cycle process. It is a big impact. It is a big impact on the employees, that is a particular job, that is the how he is able to do that job, employment life cycle processes. Long term its impact is there. A series of engagements and transformations. So, because you are talking about those learning, you are talking about those development of the resources. So, as a result of which totally transforming, you are unknowingly you are transforming yourself and your organization. So, these engagements and transformation, because of those learning process and all, you are engaged, and when you are engaged you deliver, when you deliver there is a transformation. So, moreover HR become an end to end globally integrated support solution. Wherever there is a problem, HR is available and HR is ready to do the work for you. For the business to strategically align its human capital worldwide. I told you in the beginning itself, the capital means here is the human capital. So, that is strategically aligning its human capital worldwide. So, this connecting the workforce management initiatives to the employment life cycle process, how it is done. So, there will be the strategies. Strategy will be the developing HR strategies, develop workforce management strategies and develop the learning strategies. So, when you are developing this type of the strategies, then you are creating the demand and supply, you are managing the taxonomy and resource profile, assess the supply, manage the supply and manage the demand. So, you are developing the strategy and according to strategy you are fulfilling the demand and supply. When you fulfill the demand and supply, you plan. Your plan is the perform capacity planning and the perform operational optimization, and therefore, as a result of which from the strategy to demand and supply to the plan, and you are able to develop those particular technologies. Once these pre-work of the acquisition and transition of the talent on the basis of, that is the what type of the evolutions you have to do in the demand and supply and capture and mark and capacity planning and all is there. So, then you go for the recruiting the employees, acquisition and transition here. If you are going for the acquisition and transition by recruiting the employees, you are able to create the sources. Source contractors are there, and the source contractors they will screen the right person at the right job, and that performing onboarding will be there. So, whenever required they will be performing, whenever there is not required then that is a performing or offboarding is also there. By doing this exercise, the employees in the organizations they perform the transfers, and therefore, you will find that it is a continuous process. Now, we also know as HR person that is the development is there. So, the development is the plan development portfolio, and those plan development portfolio that will be creating that is managing the development programs. That is how you are able to manage that development programs are there, and as a result of which you develop the individuals. The individuals are developed. So, acquisition is there, pre-acquisition work, then there is acquisition, and this acquisition is making the development, and development as per the development results, then you are going for the deploy, identify, select and assign. When you are having the identify, select and assign, you will find that there is an employee programs are there. These employee programs they are creating the performance, pay and incentives. Please ensure that is these employee programs that is making the how the incentives are appropriately distributed. Naturally, this will help to give the benefits to the employees, and when the employees are benefited through these different workforce programs, their output is there. So, what do you learn from the acquisition of this talent management, employment, and then how do you are able to convert, that is the employment life cycle process. So, here it is a wonderful diagram which talks about, that is the how practically it is done by the IBM. Here are the examples are given. For example, technologies, workforce and evolution. Technologies, expertise, assessment portfolio, then C Wizard, then learning at IBM, learning management. Technologies, demand, capture, metro, on the mark, capacity and planning is there. Global opportunity and marketplace metros are there. Contractors are CCA, citrus, contractor registration process for on and off boarding. Technologies are the skill maps, skill gap closer, moving to learning at IBM Explorer, that is the through career is there. The technologies are the professional, marketplace, CV Wizard and expertise, assessment and profile and Cs. And finally, the technologies are managers portal and workforce dashboard, WMIs for the employees, your career, that is the where is your future, and employees know in advance that yes, this organization takes care of me and therefore, in the future I will be working with this organization. Then the portlet WMI integrated with workforce dashboard for the managers. Now, we will talk about the globally integrated support functions, that is the GISF, how it works. The goal of the WMI was not to just simply expand IBM's footstep in other regions and countries. Instead, the new model would be a vital system integrating all functions throughout the organizations to support one another, also known as the global integrated support functions are there, GISF is there. Naturally, when you are making such a lot of changes, and then all these changes they are required to be connecting with each other. With these new cross functional alliances, IBM was able to add value creation to the customers, right. That is the ultimately what is important, customer should be delighted, customer is important, and their organizational goals by delivering these new services at the highest level, and as a result of which you will find a central tenet of IBM's view of the evolution of the world market was that in order to support a truly globally integrated enterprise. In the first slide I have talked about, that is what is the purpose, integrating the organizations. The underlying functions that supported the enterprise such as sales, marketing, IT and HR needed to evolve to be globally integrated system. So, your all functions, functional areas, they are globally integrated. This meant was that HR would need to approach itself as an end-to-end globally integrated solutions. So, that is the how these globally integrated solutions with this process of the GISF in the support of the WMI, and that is resulting into this success. So, finally, what we can say, customer fulfillment and procurement of the global logistics with the help of the global support functions consolidated a reengineering. Reengineering means that is the whatever jobs were there, and when you have managed the resources in the resource management, you ask them to do the certain different jobs, developing them, and then they are doing through the learning and development, that is called the reengineering, and eliminate some of the jobs which are not important and automate with the help of the technology. So, what are the areas? Areas are sales operations, IT, marketing processes, communications, C&N, finance, human resources, legal and real estate is there. So, this is all about the IBM's DWMI and GISF, by which they are making the integrated global organization and developing the talent at the global level. So, these are the practices of the talent acquisition by IBM. Thank you.